Welcome again to Cottage Talk Full-Time. I'm Russ Coleman. Joining me right now is Max Cohen and Yanis Shanaeus. This is our initial reaction show to Fulham's 2-1 loss to Huddersfield Town today at Craven Cottage. Before we go on any further, guys, I just want to start off here by just congratulating Huddersfield Town and their supporters. Congratulations on the victory, because it's a tough place to go and win, and you guys did what you had to do to win. But we're going to break down this match, and we're going to talk about some controversial moments. We'll obviously have some criticism for Fulham, I'm sure. But I wanted to start off, before we do anything else, and congratulate Huddersfield Town. Okay. Mr. Cohen, first to you. How you doing? I was hoping for better, but it's funny because Huddersfield Town, their recent spell is legit. They're a good side. And they got all 3 points. So, like I said, congratulations to them. Just give me your opening thoughts on what you watched this morning.
Yeah, you can't win every match in this division. We know that as fans. We become accustomed to feeling like we can win every match this year, but This is a reality check. As you mentioned, Huddersfield Town, credit to them. Great defensive performance, and they capitalized on our mistakes.
That's right.
But we were poor. I think we haven't really played well in a long time. And yes, we had that 3-0 win over Millwall recently, but I just don't think we've hit our stride ever since we had those matches with 6-7 goals and then 3 in a row. We're just seeing a team that's tired, a team that, can't replicate that high-octane offense every match, and we're seeing the effects of that. That being said, terrible defensive errors from Silva and Kearney, just nonsensical touches in their own box, facing their own goal. That's some stuff we saw in the Premier League in recent years.
Yep.
And we got punished by it today. Again, credit to Huddersfield. Terrible call by the ref on that penalty.
We'll talk about penalty.
And it seems like championship refs have it in them that no matter what happens to Mitrovic, they'll never call a penalty on him. And again, I don't want to blame the ref too much because we contributed to it, but
absolutely,
it's just maddening. You essentially have given any championship center half a free pass to just manhandle Mitro because they'll know they'll never be penalized for it. Whatever. Right. That being said, we're still top of the league. It's no reason for doom and gloom, but
no, absolutely not.
Very frustrating match. And I would say, just before I finish, what's with Silva starting all these matches in a row? I mean, you have Seri on the bench, you have Reed on the bench. Put one of them in. The current central midfield partnership is clearly not our best lineup, and I think Silva will realize that for the next match, I hope. But what's going on right now, it's not working.
Okay, very good there, my friend. Before I go to Yanis, I forgot to mention this. If you're watching live or want to watch live, a great place to check us out is on our YouTube channel. Please go to the Cottage Talk YouTube channel and subscribe. It's just a great way to watch the show live and watch all of our videos. So please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay, Mr. Shanaeus, I want your opening thoughts. I thought Max got us started in a very decent way. It's hard to look at this. I've watched back and I have the luxury, I guess you could say, of having ESPN Plus, so I can replay this and slow things down. And we'll talk about the controversial moments because I watched all of them over and over again. So I have some serious opinions on that, but we'll get to that during the show. But I want to get your opening thoughts on what you watched.
I thought Huddersfield were very good. I think that they came in unbeaten in, was it?
No joke. No joke.
I've been in 5,000 games, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I thought they were very well organised. They had a game plan. I thought that Corberán set their team up well. They battled for every ball. They had a few elements of luck, penalty included, but really on the balance of play and the way they approached the game, and given the conditions as well, I thought Huddersfield were the better side. They showed a lot of that wasn't the team that we 5-1 earlier this season. And,
no.
I thought there were some very impressive performances on their side, and there were some equally dire ones on our side. That
we could talk about those.
Oh yeah, there was some head scratching moments that really was summed up. I think somebody put a GIF of Marco scowling on the sidelines. He's got every reason to be pissed off about the performance today, but you have to give credit where it's due. And
yes,
if we'd drawn that, I think it would have been robbery.
Okay,
I really do thought they were the better side, and good luck to them the rest of the year the way.
Okay, and listen, that's a fair assessment. Max's assessment is fair as well, and I can certainly understand why you think they were the better side. I watched the match myself, and again, I thought they did a very good job. And they made Fulham look the way that they did. So we're going to criticize Fulham, but as I wanted to start the show, before we get into that, I don't want people that are watching or listening thinking that we're not going to give credit to Huddersfield Town, because I think the three of us all want to give them full credit, but we also have to place some blame on our side as well, and also talk about some refereeing decisions, which we will talk about as well, because I think they're a factor here. And Giannis, this is the one thing I want to talk about before we get into talking about and breaking down the match, because I also want to get your thoughts on the starting 11. We haven't done that in a while. Before we do that, you and I always talk about this, and I thought about you right away because both of us watch a lot of NHL hockey. And the one thing that you will see with refs in the NHL is that I won't call them makeup calls, but they'll even out the game. They'll even out the decisions, Giannis, generally. There was plenty of opportunities, I hate to say it, to even it out here. And I, again, will go through them, but is it fair for me to talk about the referee here? I'm not trying to take away any credit from Huddersfield Town, but is it fair to criticize that this was really, I think, a one-sided decision with the referee really not really giving Fulham their due when the situations presented themselves on the other side?
The refereeing was of latrine standards, and actually, I would contest to you that the washrooms at the Hammersmith Road End are cleaner than the level of refereeing that we witnessed today.
Okay,
and actually, it's
enough.
not just that. Actually, the commentary.
Oh,
well,
Giannis,
so galling. Oh my!
Giannis, that was some
really?
of the worst commentary I've listened to with a full match. Oh. Max, I want to get your thoughts on it because I was talking to someone else about this. Now, I'm not looking for Fulham glowing talk throughout the match. I'm not, again, I want even-handed conversation. But the conversation and the talk was so far about Huddersfield Town, it actually was biased. It was really biased. Max, you're in the media. Do you understand where I'm coming from on this? I'm curious your view on that.
Yeah, it was a tough morning of viewing. Not to mention that we missed the first 8 minutes of the match because it was down. Yeah, I mean, it was a poor commentary performance. I just want to talk about Huddersfield and honestly, they wanted to talk about how Fulham weren't going to get promoted. Essentially, that was a theme of the match. Was that, listen, this isn't over, which I'm not disagreeing with, but to dedicate 5 minutes of a match just to saying, Fulham, if they slip up here, then they'll slip up next week, and suddenly just really not focusing on the match at hand. Right. But also, I know we're going to talk about this later, but the fact that the commentator vigorously defended the referee for the penalty decision was
absolutely.
I mean, Rodak stood his ground.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We are certainly going to talk about that, and I want Giannis's thoughts when we get there because I've slowed this down, okay? And I have commentary. I've got a quote from Marco Silva, and I'll fill you guys in what else he said after the match because, again, he's got an interesting view on that situation with Rodak, and we'll get to that, trust me. But Giannis, I want to go back to you because, again, I could actually do a whole show talking about the commentary because I thought it was horrible. But I want to talk about something that we have gotten away from a little bit, the starting 11. So I want to get your thoughts here because I know that there's an upcoming match against Peterborough. Maybe that was a factor here, but should there have been potentially more changes here? I'm curious your view on the starting 11 and let's just say the 18 overall, because I saw a name on there. The minute I saw a name on the sub list, I'm thinking, oh, Giannis is just going to have a field day with this. And his name's Ivan Cavallero. So I want to get your thoughts when you saw the starting 11.
When I saw his name, I thought of one of Newcastle United's inflatable cats that they took down to West Ham today. Might have done a better job. Amelia's is listening now.
Yep,
and made a good point, and we're going to get to that in terms of the substitutions. I'm sick.
Oh, we're definitely going to talk about that.
But I'm sick to crap of Anthony Robinson. I am absolutely fed up now. In fact, he's going to get my Floyd Aita award.
Really?
Because today his passing is totally shocking. And for some reason, well, actually, I can understand Marco resting Naskins. I get that. Bobby ends up getting a goal.
Yeah.
But Robinson couldn't pass wind. And the problem was the ball got to the left and we knew it was going to break down. And it didn't jive. And I'm just getting to the point now where really I hope to God he brings JB back, because we need somebody who can settle the ball down, who's an accurate passer, that's not going to go galloping like a giraffe and then get caught. Because primarily as a fullback, you've got to be a defender first. Nico Williams, I thought, had a pretty good game today. He defended well.
Yeah, I thought he played well.
He's young, but I think Robinson is a frustrated left-sided midfielder.
Can I just say this, Giannis? Because I was talking to a friend of mine, Steve Reynolds, after the match, and I was talking about how you and I have had these conversations about Anthony Robinson, and this goes further back for me, even in the middle of the season, because he has a lot of potential. I'm glad that you said maybe he's a frustrated midfielder. Maybe that's what this is about. But defensively, I think that he's just not at the part that he needs to be at this point. And I think he's just full of potential. But at what point do you say it's just potential, Giannis?
I still think it's potential, but it's decision-making as well.
Okay.
I mean, Brian's going to get criticised because, he's not the quickest player, this side of Stoke. But one thing about him is at least the bugger can defend. I mean, I think he'd have, we had a laughable situation in Ottawa. You probably read about it, the convoys.
Yeah, of course.
And the police were clearing out the convoy yesterday, and they decided to put up a 2-foot snow hill to defend themselves against, the police. Really, the rats could even climb that, let alone the police. And I look at Robinson. He's a mistake waiting to happen every game. And it got to the point where I was yelling here, and the cats were going, "Oh, we're out of here. We're done with this, man. Like, what is going on?" And he's one of them. Chalaba's another one. Chalaba seems to do everything in slow motion. And you notice when our friend Ginger and Iniesta came on, all of a sudden the pattern of play started to speed up.
So it started to pick up.
And our passing got better. But there were a lot of players that just. But Robinson right now is doing my head in, and it's bald, and I'm done. Make a check.
Wow, he's gone into Floyd Ayite territory.
He has. Teddy
Max, that's kind of dangerous.
I think it's unfair. I don't think Anthony Robinson is the reason we lost today. I think the Chalaba discussion is totally valid. I think Tom Kearney deserves a lot of blame.
Absolutely.
I think it was Wilson or Kearney. I can't remember who, but someone before the first goal got tackled in the right midfield position. Yep. And was that Kearney?
Wilson.
Was that Kearney or Wilson? Do you guys remember? Yeah. Anyway, and that was poor. I don't think Robinson was at fault directly for any of the goals. And I think just poor defending, poor midfield play. I think as well, Cabano shouldn't be being rested.
That's a decision that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
so you disagree with playing Bobby Decordova-Reid?
Yeah, instead. I mean, as soon as Cabano came on, you could tell it was a different story. And as Giannis mentioned, as soon as Reed came on, Harrison Reed, it was a different story. Those players should be starting from the off because, as you mentioned,
Well, do you think he should have mixed it up a little bit more, Max?
No, I mean, I think he mixed it up too much, right? He changed the winning formula. We're playing a team who's 11, 12 matches undefeated. Okay. We're in the playoff spots. Why are you looking with an eye until Wednesday against Peterborough at home?
Maybe.
This is the big match. And we didn't seat up for it, Okay. And that was very frustrating. That being said, we had a lot of chances. Carvalho, I thought, played well on a different day with different breaks, different luck.
Yep.
It's a different story. So I'm not trying to get too worked up about this result, but there were some moments of just baffling incompetence at the back and referee incompetence that just make us angry. But come on, there's so many bad breaks. When Williams cut down late in the match and flashed that ball across, Carvalho also put a ball across. Tosin had a header. Mitro had a header. Carvalho had that shot. I mean, we played actually well in stretches. It wasn't a complete performance, but I disagree with Giannis that Huddersfield, it would have been a crime if it had been a draw. I think a draw might have been a fair result, given how much we dominated in spells. But again, credit to Huddersfield Town. That's a perfect away performance. They're going to do well this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they got the playoffs end of the year and stayed there. They're a very good defensive outfit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they were difficult to break down, but Fulham did create opportunities. There's no question about that. So let's get to it, guys. And we certainly will talk about the second half, and then we'll talk about it. I know Emilio really wants to hear some talk, and I want to talk about the substitutions, and maybe there should have been substitutions earlier, maybe even going into the second half. We'll talk about that when we talk about the second half. But let's talk about the first half. And, you know, it's funny, Giannis, and I'll go to you first, because when we analyze the first half and we talk about the build-up to the first goal, Fulham were really starting to get going right before this goal comes. And it's a goal that we've seen several times now. It's a mistake, and Fulham tend to get punished on their mistakes. They got punished again. I've seen this mistake in losses. I've seen these goals in some of the losses. There is a common thread here. And I think that the players, and I think Marco needs to look at this and take a little bit of responsibility on what happened. And the one thing I will say about Marco Silva, because I want to talk about him a little bit when we go through the show, is that, you know what? I think it's okay. You know, and again, I heard a part of his analysis about the match, but I think it's okay. Maybe he could say, you know what? Maybe he didn't do a great job today. You know, I think it's okay. I complained about Parker. I think sometimes the manager, I think, should own up to his part in this as well, not just the players. So just want to just say that, guys. All right, Giannis, to you. Let's talk about the first goal from Huddersfield Town. And it's funny because, again, it is against the run of play, but credit to them. They broke quickly. They took advantage of an error of ours, and they get the early lead. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Kearney dispossessed. Ball goes through. I thought Ward had an excellent game for them.
Danny Ward
really did. He was super. Led the line brilliantly. And by the way, I actually think Mitra had a good game today, but he was getting little or no support, A, from the refs and B, from his teammates. But if you look at that shot, Rodak's got to have that. I mean, I know the conditions were poor, but he's got to do better than that. And question, one of the things that's going to emerge is do you give Gazzaniga another chance? Because the timing of the goal was poor. He's looked a little shaky the last few games. It does go to show that next year, you know, assuming we go back to the Premier League, we need better goalkeeping. And I think that's the sort of goal that Rodak is going to want back. And you could see the reaction of the defenders when they went. He's like, oh, no.
This is from Dave Cronin. Is it time for Gazzaniga to start?
I think it might be, and I think Peter was going to be as good as anything, because right now Peterborough can't even beat an egg. So they're in absolute dire straits at the bottom. It's a good game. You might as well give them a chance, give them a start. But Rodak, it was a nice goal, and I think Ward deserved that goal for all his work.
Okay,
but it was against the run of play.
It was.
And it's a sucker punch.
Punch. Yeah.
But we, you know what? It was self-inflicted.
Absolutely.
And, they took the lead, and good for them.
Okay, and like I said, fair credit to them. They took advantage of our mistake, and they got the goal, and they went ahead. And I'm thinking, okay, fine, let's just get even before the end of the half, or even just go down a goal. Going into the second half, I thought Fulham would still be in decent shape. And Max, to you, I'm going to give you the honors of talking about the penalty situation, the second goal for Huddersfield Town. So let's talk about it. But before we do, I'm just going to share some thoughts that Marco Silva shared. And you can actually see this on the Fulham Twitter account. You can watch his analysis of the match. I watched it, and I pulled this quote. And this is about that situation, Max. So this is what Marco Silva stated. With a big mistake from the ref, we lost the game, unquote. So that's the quote. And he is talking about this situation. He added, Max, I'm paraphrasing, but what he said was Rodak was fouled by the player.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that.
So, again, that's what I want to talk about on this. I've watched this several times. I want both of your thoughts on this, because I think Marco's right. Your thoughts, Max?
Yeah, it's a collision. These things happen on the pitch a lot, and what's even more frustrating is that oftentimes when it involves the goalkeeper, they're given the benefit of the doubt. And referees are very keen to protect keepers and call the foul on the attacker. For me, Rodak stands there. He stands there and Thomas runs into him blindside, doesn't even see him.
Doesn't even see him.
And he falls down. To call that a penalty is extremely soft, extremely soft. I think you let that play go on. And it's even more annoying considering all the claims we had later in the match with handballs,
and we'll talk about
pushes and trips and all that stuff. So I disagree with it massively. I'm there with Marco Silva. And if that penalty doesn't go in, he's right. It's a 1-1 match. It's a draw. So, yeah, you could say the ref cost us big time.
Okay. Giannis, your thoughts on this? Again, you've seen these situations before. I've seen these situations before that the goalkeeper, just as Max and Marco Silva stated, that the foul would actually be on the player. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree or do you think that this is a penalty?
I actually think it's very tight. I think it's one of those where he needed to go and consult with the assistant ref, and he didn't. But I disagree with Marco. That's not the reason we lost.
Okay.
I think that's a dangerous road you take when you say, "Well, the ref robbed us." No, we robbed ourselves. We had enough. Well,
that's what I said. Take personal responsibility. Giannis.
You got to take responsibility because you're not going to. You know what? It's the old Wenger trick. You're going to have decisions that go for us, go against us. Balance of probabilities. The end of the season, it's going to come around. I thought it was. Soft penalty probably, but they'd missed their last 5 penalties, Russ.
Yep.
They'd missed their last 5 penalties, and guess what? Rodak actually got a hand to it. So it's one of the, look. It's one of those. I think Marco might have said this to the media for public posture to get his players going and da. Yep. But if he really looks in the mirror and reviews this game, he really can't have many complaints.
No,
really.
He can't. I agree with this because even with all these situations, even we're going to talk about the opportunities, why didn't Fulham get a penalty? His team didn't do enough. So that's why he needs to analyze and break down what went wrong instead of focusing all on the referee and the breaks we didn't get. Maybe it's for the media, but if he doesn't do his due diligence and look at what his players did, then he's hurting himself. And he needs to analyze. They need to look at this match, figure out everything that they've done wrong, and correct the errors because there were errors here. And I want to share this from Toby Jones because he was actually in the hammy end. So this is what Toby said. I was in the hammy end, looked like a penalty to me. And then he follows it up. Rodak took him out. Sorry. So, again, that was his view. Now, again, he's there. We are watching on TV, so there are different views of it, but I understand why Toby is saying what he said. So thank you, Toby, for sharing that with us. And so with that situation, guys, we get to the half and Fulham are down 2-0. So let's now talk about the second half. Before we do that, I want to go back to something that Emilio was messaging about because he talked about potentially making a halftime substitution. Giannis, would you have made a halftime substitution? Let's talk about that because, again, I think that this is something that we can look at, and maybe it's something that we should be talking about with Marco because Marco's not infallible. Marco is, I think, a great manager. Did he make an error in judgment here and not make a halftime substitution?
I think Marco's been brilliant this year. But I coming up the second half, I thought there'd be at least one substitution. I wasn't sure whether it was going to be, Naskins for Bobby, or I don't know. I mean, Bobby Reed's played at fullback, Naskins for Robinson, and put him left and keep, do it like that. And we needed a bit of a shake-up. I also thought maybe that Seri would come on because Chalobah, oh dear, he was another one I was headbutting the wall about. It wasn't working. But I think what he's probably said is, okay, I'm going to give you buggers 10, 15 minutes to prove me wrong. And then I'm going to make changes. But one of the questions that will have to be asked of Marco is when is the timing of the substitutions were too little and too late. Chalobah should have come off a lot earlier than he did, because when Reed came on, all of a sudden, as I mentioned earlier, the tempo rose. And now we were making inroads into the final third and causing them real problems. And I'm hoping that Marco will look at that.
Right.
So, okay, something for Wednesday, because Peterborough, I think, lost today, so they'll be miserable buggers.
Right.
And their manager's miserable all the time anyway. So if we can go at them and do it quickly, then I think we should have some fun on Wednesday night. But the timing of the subs, I think, was odd. And as I said, I think he should have made one or two changes at halftime.
Okay. Max, what are your thoughts on this? And again, to be fair, listen, I think Marco Silva is a great manager, but even great managers, can look at things and look at situations and analyze them and say, maybe I should have done things a little bit different. And I've heard this after the match, the timing of the subs, and Emilio brought this to my attention, and now Yanis is talking about it. What are your thoughts about the timing of the subs? Maybe halftime subs, or even earlier than when Neeskens came on. Neeskens, I believe, came on in the 60th minute. I think he came on then. Maybe he should have come on a little bit earlier. Maybe the other sub should have come on a little bit earlier to really change things up. You're down 2-0. You're at the half. Maybe it's time to change it at halftime. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Neil Stort in the comments says he was hoping Seri would come on for Silva at halftime. I think that's a good shout. Also could be Reed. Yeah, I think it needed a halftime sub. When you're down 2 at the half and it's clearly not working midfield, that works. Could have taken off Kearney earlier as well. And I think Steve Turner has a good point with regards to the subs. If we played the first 80 minutes with the intensity of the last 10, we would have won it with ease today. That's a great point, is that it seems like we only really got up for it properly when we had all the subs on at the end. And by that point, we were chasing the match, chasing it. So that's frustrating. Yeah, it just seemed that it wasn't our day, but Silva could have been more proactive. I agree with your guys' comments. This has been something we've been talking about, I feel, for years, regardless of the manager. You mentioned Parker. That was a big thing. I'm not sure what it is about top-level managers, but the fans always seem to think they're not making proactive subs. In my opinion, it's that the manager really wants to stick with his starting 11 game plan. They map it out all week, and they're very reluctant to change it. They see it as their kind of project, their baby, and they don't want to just throw it out. If it's not working, they want to stick with it. And I think that is a flaw in management. Because for us, we have no tie to that starting 11. It's not our, week-long game plan. We just want to win. Sometimes managers, I think, are too reluctant to switch it up.
Okay. I want to share this because we're talking a little bit about Seri. Why is Seri not starting, Giannis? He has a good brain. I'm just sharing what Val sees. Great passing opportunity and a good passer. When is the time for Seri?
It's interesting. Go back to something Max said.
Go ahead.
Max said there, and I thought, what did you say last time? I've just had a brain freeze.
Do you have a senior moment?
Yeah, I've never seen it. Your last comment, Max, was bang on. What was it?
About the managers not wanting to switch up.
Yeah. That's perfect comment. That's perfect. And you know what? The classic example of that is actually what happened at West Ham with the Kurt Zuma situation.
Yep.
The Kurt Zuma situation turned up. The ownership turns to Moyes and says, you're going to have the call on whether Zuma plays. And he said, I'd already picked the 11. Well, common sense dictates to you that with the furore around Zuma, and let's now not forget, he's still not played an away game since, Catgate.
Yep.
It just goes through the stubbornness. I mean, common sense would dictate that you would go, no, right, you're out of the lineup, and he didn't do that. And you're right about this, Max, because managers are really, really stubborn. And I think sometimes you just got to, you put the lineup on Friday, but it doesn't mean you can't change it. No. And it doesn't mean that you don't get it wrong. And if it's not working, it's not working. And whether it's 18 minutes in or it's 8 minutes in, you go, right, this ain't working. I'm not feeling it. Right, you're coming off. You sit on the bench. You come on. The old style managers like, the Fergies and certainly Cloughy wouldn't have thought twice about that.
Right.
So it's a stubborn streak in a lot of managers, and I don't like it. As for Seri, Seri played really well in the AFCON, and he needs to come back in now. Chaloba's like a DERV, they call it in England, a diesel engine road vehicle, one of those trucks. He's too slow, and we need to increase the pace because I think otherwise we can't supplement our strikers. One more thing. When Cabana came on, I want to give credit to their right back, Turton. and the centre back Pearson, because I thought they did a very nice superb job covering, because Cabana got nothing out of them when he came on.
He didn't make an impact.
And that's maybe, I think you look at the Huddersfield performance, you look at little things like that and go, you know what? They play well. I mean, they really
do. But if I hear how great Tom Lees is one more time, I think I'm going to throw up, because I heard that through the entire match. Max is laughing because he knows I'm right.
Yeah, he's a good player, though.
He's a good player, but I mean, how many times can you say how great Tom Lees is during a match?
Yeah. Maybe they related.
Okay, guys. Okay, so let's now talk about really getting into the half, and it's starting to get late. But Fulham pull one back, and they get the goal from Bobby Decordova-Reid. But this is really a shot from Nico Williams that sets this up. It just got to Bobby, and he puts in the back of the net, Max. And it's late in the match. Are you thinking, okay, we have a shot here once Bobby scores?
I thought so. I really thought so, because we had 6 minutes of added time, and there were chances. Let's be clear. We had chances to tie this up and maybe even win it. But give credit to Bobby, because, as you mentioned, Nico's smashing this, going for goal. He's not looking for Bobby.
He's not looking for Bobby at all.
And the control to bring that under his feet, first touch, and the second touch, I think that's even more impressive.
Yeah.
To put that perfectly in a situation where he can strike it with his left. That was a very impressive goal, very well taken. And I'm happy for Decordova-Reid to justify selection in the starting 11. I'm not always his biggest fan, but he's popped up with important goals. The winner at Stoke a couple of weeks ago. So credit to him. That's a great goal. But, Nico Williams had that wayward shot.
Yep.
I want to see more of that. I felt too often in this match we were passing up potential shots just to.
Well, he was taking some shots, to be honest with you. Maybe not the best shots in the world.
Yeah, but I like that. I like the urgency, because really we didn't trouble the Huddersfield keeper very much until an hour into the match.
Okay.
Which is not really acceptable for home match. So good for him.
All right, good stuff. I have to share this because I have commentary on this. My friend Chris is a Liverpool supporter. There's a great pass from Nico for the Fulham goal. Chris, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to continue to say this and push Fulham to sign Nico Williams permanently. You don't need him. You have people behind that are younger at that position that you can bring up. Please, you don't need him. Fulham actually need Nico Williams permanently. So I'm going to be banging on that drum the rest of the season. I thought I would just mention that because I know you're watching. All right, guys. So, again, now we're going to talk about the end of the match. This is where it gets a little sticky, because we could talk about the situations with Mitro, and there were a few of them. But we also have to talk about the handball. So let's talk about this in the 94th minute. Giannis, I'm going to give you the honors on this. I've watched this back several times. And a friend of mine said to me after the match, if you're going to call the penalty early in the match against Fulham, then this is the equal to that. If that's soft, and we all think that was soft, maybe this is a little soft, but shouldn't it be called? It is. It does hit his hand, Giannis. Intent or no intent, it actually hits his hand and probably causes the shot not to be as powerful. So, again, your thoughts on what happened in the 94th minute. Should Fulham have gotten a penalty here?
Yes, it was a penalty. It's ball to hand, but it's clear for me. But it's this ref was giving us absolutely nothing. Ball, Mitro was getting rugby tackled.
Yeah.
In the box, and the last time I looked, excuse me, we've got to get our players have to get protection, and you went back to the hockey analogy in terms of the even up call. That's your even up call, and he didn't give it. And you could see at the end when the final whistle blew, the elation from the coaches how big a win this was. Right. Not just the 3 points, and funny because if you look at the results around us actually went pretty well.
They did.
But also the fact that they've just played the best team in the division, and they knew it. And Corberán said it in his presser afterwards. And it was good revenge for them for the 5-1 spanking earlier.
Sure.
And they played well as well. So that's a team that gave us trouble today. That's a long journey down for the fans. So
when this happened, should not factor in on someone's decision or a ref's decision.
Absolutely.
Because I have a feeling that because it was so late in the match, he was unwilling to make this call and just decided to ignore it. I could be wrong, but I think of when it came I think that factored in to his decision-making, which is just wrong. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, his name's Tony Harrington, but if I were him after the final whistle, I'd have changed his name to Hurrington, as in I'm going to hurry quickly to the car park
Get out of here.
and get in my vehicle because I'm about to get bricks thrown through it or ice creams or lollipops, because you could tell the
just call it both ways, man. Just call it both ways. That's all.
Yeah, it was. I'm getting, I do believe there should be VAR because I want the right call. And I'm sure.
To be honest, I've been saying it. I know people have so many problems with VAR, and I have issues with it, but I think it does work when it's needed to work in certain situations, and I think it would have worked here.
Yep. Just make the right call. That's all.
That's all.
We've got the technology.
Forget about when it happens in the match. Make the call if it's the right call. That's your job. Make the call. Yeah. Max has a little perplexed look. Max.
I don't want VAR in the championship.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So we're gonna have a whole conversation about this.
No.
Okay, but on this specific situation, Max, would you agree with me that I think a factor in this is when it happened, and it was right in front of him?
I disagree. We've seen plenty of late penalties given. I feel like in my football watching career, I think he was just a poor ref.
Okay,
I think he was bad. Simple as that. Didn't know what he was doing.
Okay.
That's almost giving him too much credit that he factored in the stage of the match, etc.
But this is the thing.
See,
Max,
Chris agrees with me. Thank you, Chris.
The thing here, Max, though, you got to remember, this is the best second-tier league in the world, and this division is better than most first-tier leagues. In fact, I would argue.
Agreed. I agree with you. Doesn't mean it needs VAR, though. I think VAR ruins the game in some instances. We saw that last year when you can't really celebrate a goal. Even what happened with Lamina, just because you have VAR doesn't mean the referees know what they're doing at any stage of the match. Okay?
But if you can have it in Eredivisie, if Dennis Adoy can play for Club Brugge in the Jupiler League and they have VAR, then we should have VAR. Just because the manner of, the promotion and the hundreds of millions of pounds. I mean, we can talk about the Sheffield United Aston Villa robbery. That is where VAR could have made the right call.
Right.
That could you don't know that down the line it could one call could dissolve a club. Just one call. The difference between promotion and staying down and then something going south.
Yeah.
If it takes time, they do it brilliantly. I think in rugby. If you watch rugby union, they've got the truck, and the interactions between the referee and the truck are very, very quick and very, very precise. I think rugby nails it. And I think if we could adopt that, it could work in VAR, it can work in Championship. But we're always going to have naysayers, aren't we?
Oh, of course. And listen, I'm for VAR. I understand where Max is coming on this. It's funny because I just watched on ESPN Plus. Giannis is going to laugh, and probably Max too, when I say I watched a whole special on the tuck rule and how much my team has benefited from the tuck rule. He's smiling. I see Max smiling. And again, it was a call that was made with, a VAR system. We can call it what it is. And the right call was made. And that's all I'm going to say. And Patriots went on to win 6 Super Bowls, so I'm happy about that. But I know. Max is rolling his eyes.
The NFL, we can't escape it.
Hey, Russ.
Yes.
Today's referee, Tony Harrington, is from Hartlepool.
Okay.
So he's from that neck of the woods. I'm just saying. I'm just saying because
Well, there's a reason why they always announce, or you can find out where the ref's from, because that can be a factor. I'm not saying it is here. I'm not saying he's biased. I think I'm going with Max. I just think he's a bad ref. I'll go with Max on that.
But I don't mind bad refs. But what I do have a problem with is bad refs who are inconsistent. If you're consistently bad both ways, we can deal with it. But if that's a penalty on Rodak, is you give it, then you've got to give the penalty. You've got to give the penalty in the handball.
Okay,
good and stuff. That's inconsistent.
I'm with you, Giannis. One other thing I want to talk about before we get to the end of our show is this. So, Max, your thoughts on this? Mitro's reputation for diving is a problem. We're not getting calls in the box. Your thoughts?
Yeah, spot on, Neil. Because he just throws himself about. It's something he does. He's not going to change.
I'm not a fan of it. You know this. We've talked about it on the show. I don't like his diving.
And I think it goes beyond the diving. It's also his constant
Theatrics.
badgering of the refs.
Yep.
It's his constant kind of yelling, throwing himself about, getting into it. And let's be clear, he gives it just as good as he takes it. He'll pull a shirt, he'll throw an elbow. He's just kind of a very physical, in the weeds, in the trenches player. So, and that's a reputation thing. And refs don't want to be seen as giving into it.
Yeah.
Refs don't want to be seen as being conned. It's the worst thing a ref wants to be known as is someone who just falls for it. So even when it is a legitimate foul, they're much less likely to give it.
This is actually a good point, and I want to share this from Chris because we are talking a little bit about VAR. The main problem with VAR is that you have referees refereeing other referees. You need ex-refs and ex-players. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's current referees analyzing other referees. Maybe that's the problem, and I have to share this. Sorry, Max. Thank you, Chris. Go past. Thank you. I had to share that. Okay, good stuff. Great stuff, guys. I do want to share this from Emilio, who's watching live with us. And he's right. Let's be honest. Standard refereeing has been poor all season in the championship, not just today. Giannis, it is. And for all the money that you can getting out of the championship, the money that's available here, why aren't they upgrading the refs here? I'm serious.
I don't know, and I know that I've got a theory about this. I think with a league like the Championship, you got to get the best refs, and I think that if the best refs aren't in the below the Premier League aren't available in the Championship, I think you go international. I do. I think you and you see it. Funnily enough, you see that here.
Yeah.
You see it with things like the many tournaments that I attended, the number of tournaments here in Canada where they would have US refs and vice versa, or they'd have Mexican refs. I think you've got to get the best refs.
Yep.
And some of these buggers are just awful. They're just terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Whether you're a Huddersfield fan or a Fulham fan, you want to watch a good game of footy, but you want to see officials that can manage the game.
Right,
and part of my hubris, and every team does it, and I'm not going to crap on Huddersfield for this, but the time wasting aspect.
Oh,
I mean, we saw.
You knew that was coming, Giannis.
Yeah,
you knew it was coming.
Nichols was scrambling eggs and baking a slow cake, and how many times? And then at one point in the second half,
I was listening to a podcast that was predicting if they got ahead, that was going to happen.
Yeah, because
he does it, I guess.
Does it? So you know what? Teams do it. Blow the whistle, wave a card. Don't do it in the 3rd minute of injury time. Do it 10 minutes into the second half when they're doing it. Blow the whistle, give a card, and just you'll know. And then they'll start moaning, going, "Well, speed up the play, the play." Right? I mean, but the refs are reluctant to do it. Just call it, And then when Nichols went down, he was taken out by his own freaking player. He's rolling around like he's lost his head and his limbs and all the sorts of. It's your own player that's taking you down. You bugger, and he's rolling. He's feeling extremities that weren't hit in the first place, and this is where the refs really need to. So, get up.
Okay.
Get up.
Okay. Enough talks about the refs, but I do have to share this because we have a co-host that is a ref. Steve Lydiard, we need you. Yes, we need you, Steve.
I endorse that.
I totally agree. We need Steve in the championship. He's further down the table further down the ladder, I should say, of refs, but maybe it's time for Steve to move up to the championship. We could use you, Steve. We definitely could use you. Let's see. And, that's right. That's right. I'm glad that Emilio mentioned this. Jeremy King called out the time wasting last night. Very good point. Thank you for sharing that, Emilio. Okay. All right. Coming up next to finish up the show, we're going to talk a little bit about Marco Silva. And I'm going to ask the question to everyone watching live and my co-host. Should we name a man of the match? Okay, guys, let's finish up with this. Again, we do put a lot of blame on the players, and we should. How much do we put on Marco Silva for the loss? Giannis, I'm going to go to you first because, again, I'm curious your thoughts on this. I have been one. I still believe that Fulham have a very good manager, and they're fortunate to have him, but no one's infallible. How much of the loss do you put this on Marco Silva?
He's got to take some responsibility. He picked the lineup. He got the team prepared for the game today. He should have made substitutions at half-time. He made the substitutions late. He brought Cavalier on. That in itself should be a crime.
He wasn't bad.
Nah, he was okay. Bad. But again, he can't beat. I said it before. He can't beat an egg. I mean, like you want a wide player, and you want at least the ability to bring the fullbacks into play and stretch them out wide. And he did okay. Look, the effort was there, but honestly, a fourth minute of injury time and we're winning 25-0, and there's 30 seconds to go. I might be tempted, but we've got young players in the under 23s. I know Munoz was out today.
Yeah,
bit of a thigh problem, but. No, he has to take a fair amount of it because the lineup didn't look right. And Marco is a very intelligent manager. And for me, he'll probably not sleep well tonight because he'll be grumbling about things he could have done differently.
Right.
And I'm good with that. And I'm expecting us to roll back, the Super Lily Whites roll back on Wednesday.
Right. And that's my thoughts about Marco is that I'm sure he's going to look at this and analyze what went wrong. And hopefully he looks at some of the decisions he made along with how his players played, because there were some bad performances out there, Max. I think you can agree with me on that. But how much do you put this on Silva?
Yeah, I'd probably say a third. A third of it has to go to Silva because the central midfield partnership isn't working. He should know that. And I don't like that Cabana was on the bench. That is what it is. But again, the players and the ref probably deserve the other 2/3 of the blame. And let's not forget about the players just quickly. They didn't show up. I think this is another example of how, if we get promoted, hopefully we do, there's going to have to be another big turnover. But again, that's another episode.
That's for another time, my friend. That's for another time. But to end the show, and I'm asking the question because, again, I was talking to a friend after the match. Who's the man of the match? Do we have a man of the match? Because, again, there were some bad performances. Is there someone that stands out that was above the rest, or was it just a match where you just don't really have a man of the match? Giannis, your thoughts. Do we have a man of the match here? Well, if you're watching live, feel free to share your thoughts on this.
Well, Billy the Badger always gets lots of votes from me. I'm going to give it to Nico Williams. I thought Nico had a good game.
And that's what I'm getting, my friend. I'm already getting comments on Nico Williams.
Yeah, but I'm going to give a special shout out to Mitro, because I thought he worked. You can really see with the training, the fitness, the weight loss has really told. He worked so hard today. He really did. I mean, he was up and down the pitch, and he's so improved as a passer of a ball as well. And he was getting really frustrated today because of lack of service. And I'm sorry, he was manhandled often enough. I know he makes a meal of it, but his work rate is really. You look back at last year and you see how criminal it was, the way he was treated. And he's got his 31 goals. The Posh better watch out, because Wednesday night he's going to be in a bad mood, and it could get ugly if he gets going.
Okay, very good. All right, I'm going to share some comments before I go to Max. This is from Wayne. Nico Williams, man of the match. Now, Chris, of course you're going to say Nico Williams, but that's for your bias with Liverpool, of course.
Oh, I've got one. No. This one's for Chris. I think it should go to Mario Lemina.
Mario Lemina?
Just because.
Okay. All right.
He'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Neil Stewart says Williams, if anyone. Let's see what Emilio has to share. Fabio had a good first half, our best player, but went missing in the second half. Let's see what let's see what else. The comments are coming very quickly. Val says, agree with that about Mitro. Max, I'll go to you, and then I'll share some more comments. Who was your man of the match?
I'm going to have to go Bobby, just because he scored the goal. That was the one glimpse of quality I think that stood out above the rest today. Got to go with the goal scorer.
Okay, so you're going to go with Bobby. What are your thoughts about Nico Williams?
Yeah, I think he was excellent. I think he was one of our brightest attacking forces. Love that little nutmeg in the second half. Just couldn't quite get the cross. But, yeah, I think he's been a real revelation. I really am a fan of his.
Okay, let's see what Dave Cronin says. Nico Williams looks a bundle of energy and a great crosser, and yes, he is. Let's see. Toby Jones says Carvalho was the only player with some quality in the first half. So, let's see. Trevor says definitely Williams. So we have a lot with Nico Williams, and I understand that. Okay, great show, guys. We went longer than I thought we were going to go, but once the three of us start talking, I just let it rip. So Good stuff. Oh, I've got another one. Let's see. I'll keep it coming. Nico Williams, pure and simple. Emilio chimes in. Can Teddy or Nico play on the left?
That's a good point. I think Teddy's got a point there. I think Teddy's got a point there because
really?
I do. Yeah, I do, because you know what, you want to get Nico in there, but can you get Teddy in there? I just think that, you know what I said earlier, Anthony Robinson is a mistake waiting to happen, and if you've got nerves about, I'd bring JB back, but if you've got nerves about bringing JB back, then why not? Give it a go. I mean, really, what have the Posh got? Johnson, Clark, Harris. They sold their best player in Siriki Dembele.
Okay.
They couldn't score in a. Well, you finish the sentence.
Right.
So, Mario Lemina.
Yeah. See, it took me a second for me to remember the match last season. Okay, that's what you were talking about. I don't know why it took me a second. Now I got it. Mario Lemina. I love it. Let's see. We got some good stuff. Oh, I have to share this, Giannis. This is from Neil. Cavallero wasn't horrible.
Oh dear. No.
Let's see. Steve Reynolds says Cavallero just to wind up Giannis. Yeah.
You know the sad thing about Cavallero is he's not the player that would play for Wolves.
No, he's not.
He's not. I mean, I don't know what happened.
And Emilio can attest to a conversation we had with a Wolves supporter before he came to us, came on the show and told us, basically warned us about Cavallero. He warned us, and he turned out to be right. So
he's about as, I mean, he's don't get me started. No, God.
Okay. The last thing that I want to talk about, guys, because again, I saw a comment from Dave Cronin. Basically, this is not doom and gloom. I know we're talking about a loss, and I want to end by talking about that, Max. You and I you started the show by talking about this. It's one match. It's one loss in this calendar year. Fulham are still in great shape. I don't care what anyone's saying. They're in fantastic shape. I still believe they're going to win the league. Nothing has changed over a loss. But I think that we just have to look at the match in a vacuum, just talk about what it was. It was a loss. One loss. It doesn't mean that it's a pattern, Max. And I know that there are people out there that are thinking, uh-oh, here it comes. I don't think, uh-oh, here it comes is going to arrive.
I agree. And let's just think about the last time we lost was against Sheffield United in late December.
Yeah, similar situation, Max.
And we did pretty well after that. So I'm really looking forward to the response. We've always seemed to bounce back well from defeats. Remember the 4-1 against Coventry sparked that 7-match winning run. So hopefully we're in for a good couple weeks.
Okay.
Not Friday.
There we go there, Giannis. Okay. Giannis.
Yes, sir.
I want to get your thoughts on this, and then we're going to wrap this up because I just saw the comment from Dave Cronin, and Max shared his thoughts. And this isn't doom and gloom, Giannis. I think Fulham are still going to win the league. It's one match, and I actually think they're going to bounce back. They were not going to go undefeated the rest of the year. I don't know what people are thinking. They were going to lose. A team beat them today. It's pure and simple, and we move on, right?
Yeah, when things go wrong, the best thing is to get back on the horse.
That's right, and we're going to have that opportunity.
Unless the horse is Caballero, in which case it might be 3-legged.
Or Florida, right?
No, he's got 2 legs. 2-legged horse. No, that wouldn't be very adventurous. But no, Posh is probably the best. The best team to bounce back against. I mean, QPR found out last Saturday against Barnsley that you can't just go in and think you're just going to go and walk it.
That's right.
Because the championship is weird. But I think Peter are going to hate coming down. They've just lost a derby. That's a big defeat for them. And I hope we absolutely wipe the floor with them just to shut Darren Ferguson up, because he's just to shut him up, just because.
I'm there with you, man. I'm there with you. But I'm just looking at the table right now. And if you look at it right now, live table, Fulham have a 10-point lead over Blackburn. They have an 11-point lead over QPR. Those are the two teams I'm looking at. Yep. But again, right behind them is Huddersfield Town. But Huddersfield Town, we have 2 games in hand on Huddersfield Town, and I don't see them catching us. So if you look at it overall, guys, it's a loss, but we're in very good shape. Nothing really has changed. We can just look at the loss and move on, and now we are on to Peterborough. Another Patriots term there. Sorry, Max. Okay, time to wrap this up. for my very good friends, Max Cohen and Yana Shanez. I'm Russ Coleman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.